What's up, everyone? Okay. I'm doing this today by myself because Kenji is out of town and we didn't schedule a replacement. If he's only going to be out of town 1 week, we'll just do it like this or skip the live. But but yeah, so it's just me. Mahi and the team are in the other room, and so yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But I don't have a necessary a topic lined up. What I was going to do if we had Kenji and Jody was planned to come to the studio and jump in and all that stuff. The topic we were going to do are like the craziest things you've seen in real estate. So maybe I can still have the team come in and do all of that. In terms of the real estate business for Oahu, things are trucking along well. We've said it on maybe recent Sunday videos, but certainly recent lives, and that is we had a slower summer than you would anticipate. Things kind of bogged down late spring going into summer, and by July we saw. I'll have to go back and look at the stats. We may have seen the slowest month of the year in July, which is counterintuitive. I was just speaking with an agent yesterday. Yep, yesterday, and she was saying that in Virginia, where she's at, their July was dead. It was just a slowdown. So I think it was a bit of a national trend. Um, and we got people piling in. I'm seeing the list grow. So do me a favor if you aren't driving and you can leave uh, a comment or say something in the chat. Give me something to respond to, as well as I'm here by myself today, so it's nice to know that you guys are out there. Much mahalo for all you and your team are doing, or you and your team do there. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to working with you on the near future. Aloha from LA. Mike Ramirez, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. And yeah, as always, this is our Tuesday live stream for our Core Team Hawaii's YouTube channel, which is Moving Hawaii on YouTube, as well as the Hawaii Real Estate Podcast, where we repurpose this audio and put it on the Hawaii Real Estate Podcast. So I don't know if we'll do that today because the audio is going to be a little shaky because we don't have these nice mics. Tell me how it sounds out there. I can't use this nice mic with my MacBook setup. I'm sure you probably can, but I don't know how to do it. All right. So the topic we were going to go over is some of the crazy things. Maybe we'll do it next week. Some of the craziest things we've seen in real estate. But in terms of what's going on in the world and in the market, we had a busier September and October than we did even like a July and August, which is usually not how that goes. But this year is an exception. And real estate is an unpredictable thing. You can predict, I imagine, in Minnesota that December is going to be a slow month, right? I bet you can predict in Arizona and Vegas that the hottest months slow down. But in a market like Hawaii, where relocation fluctuates and the market does change, but what we can't predict is like geopolitical world, things that are happening in the world events, interest rates, tweets and Truth Social posts about tariffs. Just leave me a comment. Did you see your wealth drop last Friday? So 4 days ago, when after the markets closed, Trump tweeted out, I might put 100% tariffs on China. And crypto went crazy. If you're into crypto, the stock market would have went down. But then on Sunday, he posts, "Hey, don't worry about China. We're good. We're friends." It's an interesting time, and we have no idea what will happen with interest rates and stuff. All right, Sammy has a question. What's the best place to live on Oahu if you want to surf every day into your old age for the next 30 years? Somewhere consistent and chill but fun. I would say live in Eva and surf at Barbers. Because if you go up country, you go up to the North Shore, sometimes, it's either there's no waves or it's too big and you'll die. South, Ala Moana, You can surf town every day. You can go surf bowls and rock piles and these waves every day, even like canoes and stuff. But the thing about surfing in Waikiki proper, like canoes, sometimes there's no waves, and then parking is crazy unless you're gonna live in a building and like right there in Waikiki. Uh, it can be kind of a crazy park, long walk. Barbers is a there's a old man crew. There's an old man, old woman crew, which I'm closer to that than the young man crew, and they're there every morning. Uncle Cyril, Uncle Mark, all these guys, they're there every morning. So I would say barbers, surf, or people call it White Plains now, but the old crew, the old school people who surfed there 20 plus years ago, everyone calls it barbers. Lost seven figures on paper on Friday. Yeah, just on paper. But then what are you worth today? The same or better or something. So people are like, oh, I saw my whole net worth gone or whatever. But it's like only if you sell. But when all that was happening and all the chaos was ensuing, I was thinking, I don't feel like I lost anything in my real estate. So, there's reasons for different assets at different times and different quantities for different plans and different outcomes, right? But I wasn't too nervous about my real estate. It made me feel very secure that I know someone that came on here on the live one time and said, asked Aiden, do you think Derek's over leveraged in real estate in Hawaii? Like he has all of his investments tied into real estate. He's not in the market, stock market enough. Well, on Friday afternoon, you would say Derek's a genius, right? But yeah, it's just different strokes for different folks. That'd be a whole different podcast. Sammy says, yeah, I just talked to a bunch of old guys that go to White Plains every day and they love it. They told me they think it's the best kept secret on the island. I don't I don't think it's a secret anymore though. It used to be when I was a kid. You could go on a Saturday morning and just have a handful of people out. But it's not like that nowadays. Yeah, I grew up on that beach. I grew up so at times 7, 14, 20, 30 days consecutive, never missing a day on that beach. And so, yeah, I think it's a good place to go for an older person. All right, we have more people in there, but only one guy asking questions. So kudos to Sammy. Can I chat here? Shout out to Sammy for the question. All right. Again, Kenji's not here today. It's just me. So if the picture doesn't look as good or the audio is a little different, it's because our professional video team member, he's not here right now. And it's just us. So it's just me hanging out with you guys. Of course, go to coreteamhawaii.com for any and all real estate needs always. And I don't have like the screen share. Actually, I probably could. But anyways, Sammy, it's just gonna be me and Sammy in a dialogue, guys. Hope you guys jump in and ask questions if you're out there. I'm still mad that the main reason I moved out of Hawaii 10 years ago was because Hawaii banned digital crypto exchanges. Still small, kind salty. On the flip side, it got me wealthy if I were to stay. Now I'm just apprehensive about moving back, especially considering those high state taxes. Yeah. Sammy, maybe it's a thing where you only live here 5 months and 20 something days, right? I get it. If I'm, I, I was a part of an organization where people were making like, some people making $1 million a month, hundreds of thousands a month. At the real estate company we are at, there's an incentive for people joining under you. I don't go hard on that. I love aligning with the right people, with Mahe and Aiden and Kenny, etc. But that recruiting downline part of the business isn't my main focus. I think I have like 10 people that are under me at this company. But for the people who were early and did do it amazingly and have these huge organizations, some of them are earning hundreds of thousands, even 7 figures in a month. And so when you're at that level and are you going to choose to live more than half the year in a state like California or like Hawaii, where half of your money's gone just because you chose to live there? Or do you go live in Puerto Rico for 6 months in a day? Or at least live in Florida for 6 months in a day, or one of these states with no income tax? Yeah, it's a challenge. And if you were making that much, you might say, well, I wouldn't care because I'd be making $500,000 a month. Like, who gives a crap? But when you write the tax check, when you write the check for taxes for say $200,000 a month, and you just see it gone, and you're like, wait, all I'd have to do to avoid this is go live in another area. So that's what Sammy has to deal with. And yeah, good problems to have, though, Sammy. I will say, good first world problems to have. Sammy says, now I'm just apprehensive about moving back considering high state taxes. Meister BK, Oahu Senda market seems to, what's Senda? Oahu market seems to have taken a dump. When do you think would be a good time to sell or buy? Condo. Oh, I think you meant to say condo. Meister, did you mean condo? I think so. Yeah, so I've been having this conversation with one of our clients speaking of finances and investing, he's a long-term condo, sorry, yeah, no problem. He's a long-time, um, like asset manager. He works at a Schwab or something like that. And so he feels like the condo market went down and is just going to continue to go down. At the same time, he doesn't argue my counterpoints on why I think that the condo market may have already seen its bottom. It's a 5-year bottom or something. Like, anything can happen. More things can happen and condos can go down. But as a whole, I feel like Oahu's condo market saw its bottom. And why is that? Well, why did it go down? Did it go down? Did condo prices go down simply because supply and demand? Less people want condos. Less people want houses or doors, pieces of real estate that they own, and whether they live in or they just control it as an investment. Do less people want those things? I would argue no. I think people want 4 walls in Hawaii that they own. Okay, Derek, well, supply and demand, right? You have 100 watermelons, you're not selling them, so you have to discount them. But if you have 100 watermelons and 200 watermelon buyers, you can increase prices. And so that's basic economics, right? So basic supply and demand. Why did condo prices go down? Well, condo expenses went up by a lot, and it was hit by multiple things. So coming out of COVID, you had a lot of inflation. So now condos are having a budget for, well, we plan to paint every 10 years. And in 2019, when we did our projection to paint this building in 2029, it was going to cost $100,000. Now we're projecting that it will cost $150,000 in 2029. We've had to adjust our capital expenditure budgeting. So how do you get the extra money? Either an assessment now, an assessment later, or raise maintenance fees. Now that just doesn't just apply to painting. That's driveway repaving, and that's, this, that, and the other. A lot of inflation coming out of COVID. And then there was fire sprinkler retrofitting. Condos had to get their fire sprinklers retrofitted or added to meet the new code, and that's a big cost. So there were assessments and maintenance fee increases. Then the Maui wildfires happened. Well, then interest rates went up and affordability was just pinched. But then that affects everyone, right? Let's just say everyone, but most people getting loans and most price points, that affects. And then the Maui wildfires happened. Lagging after the Maui wildfires was insurance prices skyrocketing. Not only did insurance prices skyrocket, but insurers, is that how you say that? They decided to do more audits and say, hey, you have insufficient insurance, or they backed out of the market. There was a time where both buildings and even single family homeowners for a period of time were having hard times finding insurers. So for example, USAA backed out of the Hawaii market. You couldn't get it. At first it was like, it has to be under $1 million. So like a $900,000 single family. Then they just were not writing new policies, but now they're back. The free market has brought them back. Yeah. So for all these reasons, condos went down. If I'm looking for a reason for expenses to keep going up, I don't find them. So expenses going up are why condo prices had to go down to adjust for affordability along with interest rates. But if anything, interest rates have improved. Insurance costs have stabilized or dropped. So we've actually seen some maintenance fees lowering. Yeah, and those are so if I'm not really seeing steep increases just left and right the way we were seeing them, but I am seeing some maintenance fees decrease. We are seeing some assessments fall off. Um, and the insurance thing, insurers, I have two family members, in-laws who are in insurance, and I would talk to them about it along with anyone else I could talk to just to learn. Hawaii's number one insurance person on the island, Sue Savio. I went to my HOA meeting for my house and met her there, and we talked. And insurance is better. The knee jerk reaction was these companies were like, oh my God, X and X companies going, non-profitable because of Maui. Hawaii bad. Don't insure Hawaii. And then they realized, well, the Maui wildfires were a one-off. Iniki grazed, it hit Kauai, but didn't really affect the island chain as a whole in 92. And before that, it's been like 100 years ago since a hurricane hit us. So they realized we're actually a solid place to insure. We don't really get hail. I think we've had hail like once in recent memory. Don't get snow where anyone lives. Like it's a good place to insure. And so insurers started bringing how does it work? Their books, their money, bringing their business back and insuring people in Hawaii. So there's more competition, lower prices in insurance. And I just see reasons why condos will go up. Now, would I buy a condo versus a single family if I have, or something with no HOA, if I have the money and the discretion? I still want to avoid associations when I can. But if I'm going to have an association, I want to get a lot for it. So I own in Ko'olina, and in Ko'olina, my association fee is a lot. It's like $1,200 something. Even though it's $1,200 something, though, I get a resort style pool. I live on an actual resort. My neighbors are, I don't know if Michelin rated restaurants, but definitely high end restaurants and hotels and Disney and Four Seasons. And so at least I feel like I get value out of my HOA. I have another home where I feel like I get no value out of the HOA, and it's just insurance cost. And I look forward to either getting out of that HOA or voting us out of the master plan insurance, which is another whole different thing. All right, let me look. Wow, fees are decreasing in some places. Yeah, fees are decreasing in some places. Our Mililani townhome that we're selling right now, it's dropped from like $850 to $650 or something like that. I have to go look at it, but dropped significantly, and that effect that takes place January. So Meister said HOA insurance. Yeah, those are the reasons. So like from now until forever, should you buy a condo instead of single family? Well, that's a really personal decision and situational. But when is a good time to buy? To answer so I never actually addressed your actual question. When do you think would be a good time to sell or buy? I don't like these questions because it's whenever you're ready, whenever your wife, your money, your life, your kids, your health, your commute, your car, like your pet, when it principally makes sense. The stars aren't all going to align perfectly, right? Your oldest and your youngest kid aren't going to meet their lifelong best friends at the same time, and then you move to Mililani or you move to Kaka'ako, or it's just not how that works. But whenever things line up principally in your life for both your health and your wealth and just your timing for your family, your career, then I think you should buy, probably, because that statement across 100 years is almost always a good decision, and it's almost never a bad decision. And who are you or even us to know that in this moment it's a bad decision? Also, in that moment, maybe you just be a little more discerning, right? if things feel scary and overpriced or whatever, maybe just a little more cautious and don't less likely to make a bad buy. When it's an obvious good time to buy, like late 2020, early 2021, an obvious good time because prices are what they are, or sorry, interest rates are what they are. Everyone knows. And look what happens to the market. You want a house that's listed at 800, you bid 860 and you secure it with a large amount of cash that tells the seller no matter what it appraises at, you're going to get your 860 from me. So I've seen that. I've seen it appraise at 810 and the buyers give 50 grand cash. Just here's a check to escrow for 50 grand more than the house is supposedly worth. But that was what was required. So you can't know like this is a great time to buy. And if you do, other people know and you're going to be competing and then maybe you don't want to pay the price required to get the home at that time. Yeah, so when's a good time? I don't know, probably now. I don't like answering the question the way it was asked. Not that you asked a bad question, but just I don't want to say you should buy now and it not be a thoughtful, nuanced conversation that came or answer that came out of a dialogue. But in terms of the market, I wonder if the condo market is at its 5-year bottom right now. Sammy says, my cousin is on the homestead list and is thinking of picking up something in Nalo or Papakolea homestead. Do you think living a homestead is worth it? Or do you outweigh the pros and cons? Michael Hume, get a canoe. I don't know. I don't know what. Oh, wait. Did I miss a question? So Sammy earlier said, I've thought about what would help Native Hawaiians come back and stay in Hawaii. Do you think tax breaks like Act 60 in Puerto Rico, but for Native Hawaiians would help people stay 0% Fed state? I don't think you can do that. I don't. I want to bet that that's not constitutional and it's not even an option. The problem is where do you stop? I'm a little bit more of a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, free market, capital kind of guy, capitalistic kind of guy. So I think the biggest thing that can help communities, I want to be delicate here, is mindset shift. I don't think that people are not capable by and large. Now, some people have a syndrome or a something, but even that, it's so easy to diagnose yourself with something today. There, for a lot of people who are not doing as well as they want to be doing in life, I could point out an example of a person with a way lower IQ, in theory less capable, who is doing better, but has made a different decision for themselves. They've just decided that my standard, my outcomes must be here, and they've made it happen. And so I'm not for like Sammy. I don't tend to be. I don't know. I could have a conversation about it and learn more about the possibilities, but I tend to not be towards like give people of a certain race because then at what blood quantum? Okay, what 50% you can have no taxes, but at 40% Hawaiian, now you're just like I'm more for that Hawaiian person, that pick skin color, pick race person, understanding you can. It could suck though. Come with a lot of suck. I didn't want to join the Coast Guard. Had to join the Coast Guard or do something like that. I didn't want to be with the racist people I was on the Coast Guard ship with. I didn't want to not fight some of those people at times. I didn't want to do a lot of these things that sucked. I didn't want to do so much that sucked, but I needed it. I had a rough start to my childhood. I had a lot of things to work out, and I needed that environment to hold me accountable and to have some people to model. You join the Coast Guard, you're an enlisted kid, basically, and looking at these officers or even these other kids who are in their 20s but went to the academy and were probably raised in more white collar environments and know what the difference between a salad fork and are more eloquent and you have some people to model. You're gonna just enlist. You have a chief who is just like you, little little heathen, and now is 20 years older and is guiding you. And so for me, that was Haley Brown. You can. You just have to go towards things that suck. Do things that are easy, life will be hard. Do things that are hard, life will be easy. And that's more of my answer to your tax question. Sorry, off on a tangent. I don't know why Michael Hume. Michael, why'd you say get a canoe? Michael, I'm typing it. Why did you say to get a canoe? I don't get it. Sammy says, yeah, you're right. I think it's because we're a state, we couldn't do the Fed, but we could do something like the state. I'm 100% with you mentality wise, but I think aunties and uncles forced to leave. Sammy, so that's the thing. On my whole pull yourself up by, I'm a hypocrite. On my whole pull yourself up by your bootstrap things, two things about that. If you live in San Francisco and you're like, but the place I grew up in, my dad used to take me down to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, and now I have to live in Sacramento. I'm like, oh, so sorry. I don't care. Like, work harder, be better. I that not entirely, but I tend to be more towards that side. When a local person has to leave Hawaii, it's not just they had to live an hour and a half further away. It's just different. And Sacramento, San Francisco, one, you can drive down to the city. Two, it's just Sacramento. I mean, it's not that different. Like, whatever. But when you have to leave Hawaii, it's like you're leaving your home, you're leaving your land, your people, your culture, and it is different. So that's my first point of hypocrisy. My second point of hypocrisy is with age, as you state. I look at like my uncle who passed recently, and the purity of him, and my auntie, and my auntie's still alive, and I just love them so much, and I would never want them to have to leave, and I cry for them literally. And yeah, when it's kupuna, when it's older people, I don't know, I want to help them more. you know I wonder if I'll feel that way when I'm 60, and if I've managed somehow to keep all this together and keep life together and done well for myself, and put myself in a better position than most. That because at that point the other 60-year-old is my peer, right? Will I think, should have worked harder, go move to Vegas, or will I be even further towards the look? Not everyone had the curse of entrepreneurship, the blessing and the curse that is this hyper analytical, trying to learn why XRP is going to change the banking system, and how the New York Stock Exchange is going to trade on Ethereum eventually and open the markets 365. And how do I make these YouTube videos and grow myself as a person and an investor and a person who understands finances and 1031 exchanges, and grow myself so that 50 plus people on chat listen to me, and eventually one or two of them buy a house with us and sell houses with us. I don't know. I don't know how I'll feel when I'm 60. It'll be interesting to see. Let me go back to Sammy. So my thing on Hawaiian Homestead, my answer is easy. If you have to, you have to. If you don't have to, don't. Meaning, buy lease. Hawaiian Homestead is just a fancy, sort of ethnically exclusive way to buy leaseholds, and they don't appreciate and value and build that Hawaiian person's wealth. So I don't love that for them. I would prefer they buy fee simple, not even with me, just with whoever. Buy something fee simple, hopefully build their wealth over time, leave a legacy, build up a nest egg for themselves. I don't tend to love it, but if you have to, you have to. I'd rather you buy fee simple. Leo, do people give you grief for helping non-locals purchase property? We get comments. I don't, not in person. It's, people are nastier on the internet than they are in person. I've had a person or two, like there's this one guy at the gym, he'd eye me out. Like he'd just look at me, and I'd be like, fuck's this guy problem? At first, sorry, NSFW. At first I'd be like, I thought he was, because sometimes we get looks out in public and they're like people who watch the channel and are sort of like fans or just, aware, and hey, how's it? We say hi. At first, that was the approach for this guy. Just keeps looking at me weird and weird and weird. And I did start to wonder, like, hey, is he sort of maybe more of a activist who doesn't like real estate agents, or at least those that help people who aren't from here? Here's the thing. Our goal is not to just only do relocation and people who aren't from here. Look at Sammy; he's going to return to Hawaii, and we love that story. And so I hope we get to help Sammy when he returns. Um, but relocation happens either way. Relocation is a part of Hawaii real estate. This is Relocation is a part of Hawaii real estate. It is actually, according to Grassroot Institute of Hawaii, when I interviewed the guy in 2022, it was a bigger issue. It was more relocation as a percentage of the market in 2012 than there was in 2022. But the internet makes it ever more, present, and it's more clickbaity now, and it's more top of mind, and it's you can tug on your emotions more, and affordability is lower. So here's the thing: the one person that moved here in 2012, the one person that moves here in 2025 might count for two displaced people rather than just one, because affordability is even worse now. So even if less people are moving, affordability is still more jacked than it was 13 years ago. So it sucks. And I don't want people displaced. I talk about my auntie and how I've cried for her. At the same time, relocation real estate happens no matter what. Would you rather a Derek Okahashi, son of a Waikiki beach boy, and Mahe Kahale, son of Larry, and Uncle Larry? And would you rather these people participate and indoctrinate and share in earnings and in aloha and all these things, or would you rather just the person from HGTV, like Sandy, who just moved here from Huntington Beach and is now selling Kailua, or John, who do you want participating in relocation real estate? Who would you want owning the hotel in Waikiki? Like, would you rather it be Sandy and John, or do a Kahanamoku estate or something, right? And so that's one point to answer. Like, do we get grief, and how do we address the grief we get for helping non-locals? The other thing is, local people call me, make it so every person, every local sales in Hawaii that's ready to go right now comes to us, and we help them at the highest level to where we barely even have capacity for anyone else. Like, to compete for local business anywhere, you can, in real estate, you can buy leads, you can door knock, you can cold call, you can, all the things I just don't like on a human level. If we all lived on Mars, I don't want to call you and sell you and force you to do things in that way. We do as little of that as possible. And the other thing is local connections, right? Is having gone to Punoho and Iolani, like, how many home sales that happen on this island with local people born and raised here, are happening because of some long-standing, like, high school affiliation. It's like a lot, right? Or my auntie's friend is the realtor. Da, da, da. And so to compete for that business is really hard. It's very efficient for us to, relocation real estate is, they know no one, and now they know us. But also, for the percentage of our business that is relocation, we're great at it. I was born on the mainland. Lived in Florida, in a little North Florida redneck environment, until 12. I started visiting Hawaii at 10, and then stayed when I was 12, and then I was local, and then my dad was born and raised here. And so and then you have Kenny, who did the video this past weekend. Like, we're just teasing him. He's talking about putting cheese on his eggs and eating it with rice. We're teasing it today. It's like, you can put cheese on eggs, bro, but it got to be a potato. You don't do that with rice, right? And you have Mahe, who's the person, like, no, if it's rice, it's shoyu, and I'm born and raised here. And we're just so great at it, like the mix of who we are and what we do. And I'm not apologetic about that. But if you are local and you have a growth mindset, and you want help, and you want to learn, finance or business or something, please reach out to me. I cannot just be your punching bag and your place to throw stones. And why do you not own a house? It's because of me. No, that's zero. That's not productive. Or if you're local and you want to do business, you already know to go to coreteamhawaii.com. Not all of our business is relocation. Okay, so I'm going to get off of this rant. Not all of our business is relocation. And for the part that is, we're great at it. And better it's us, not only for us, but for Hawaii and for those clients, it's a good thing it's us. Um, Michael said, "You say get in the boat, don't run beside the river." Oh yeah, Michael, that's right. So he's referring to my appreciation momentum analogy. So the housing market is this flowing river, and by renting or by staying on the sidelines, you can run next to the river. You can run next to the river at the same pace as the river, right? It's flowing, but eventually you're gonna die. Like you get tired, but the river keeps flowing. Why not just take your boat, jump in the river that's by a home, and let the momentum take you? Now, if you want to paddle and even outpace the river, i.e., outpace inflation, then great, do that. But you cannot just outrun the river on foot or by renting. Now, occasionally, a very sophisticated person will do well as a renter for life, but they're few and far between. They're less than 1% of millionaires did it, I would imagine. I don't know the actual stat, but Dave Ramsey talks about it. Without buying real estate, you could dollar cost average into an S&P fund or VanEck Semiconductor ETF, or have picked a king maker like Nvidia 5 years ago or 15 years ago, and been a renter the whole time. And that difference, because you rent for 3,000, you would have to have a $4,500 mortgage, and that 1,500 went. The opportunity cost that you did not miss out on was you pumped it into the market, and you're a king now, or you're a queen. Tell me if you know someone like that. I know someone like that who also owns 3 homes, but I don't know anyone like that who has just made a king and rented the whole time. Um, all right, exactly. Hawaii, Sammy says, Hawaii is like a different country. Wailua is different than Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Their blood is connected to this land. So I struggle like you, especially as one of the wealthiest young Hawaiians. Yeah, I mean, Sammy, it's a struggle. Hey, Sammy, so I've traditionally just been buy real estate, buy real estate. It's what I know. It's what I have a good life doing that, right? But recently, although I've purchased my first crypto in 2018, I'll have an interesting story about XRP. I could tell you my accounting professor, which I used to fail math in high school. I just hated it. I don't care about A squared, B squared. But accounting in college, number one in the class. And that accounting professor took a liking to me, and he's like, "Hey, do you know about XRP, Ripple?" I was like, "I don't know. Tell me about it." He's like, "Well, I'm got some friends, and basically Goldman Sachs is going to come on and badmouth Ripple soon, and they're trying to buy the dip. So I'm telling you, get into some Ripple." And he was right about it all, and I should have bought then, and I did buy Ripple, but I got out. And anyways, um, I'd love to connect with you, man. Even if it's not to buy a house right now, go to coreteamhawaii.com or just shoot us a message. I'd love to connect. If you get to one of my assistants, then they'll connect us. I'm interested in. I have another person. I'm not going to say who I talked to. Ethereum's current positioning and performance, and how they're not so bullish on Sol anymore, and the Bitcoin maximalist sort of view, and spending a lot of time, researching that sort of stuff. And I just purchased Motley Fool's new book and stuff. So yeah, and that's the thing, people like you can. You don't have to be an obsessive, anxious learner the way I am. You can just call us and we can help you, right? We have a handful of a small group of humans that can help you and keep it intimate and do a great job. Or always be learning, and or I should say, and or like I don't need to read this Motley Fool book, but I kind of need to, I don't need to be reading these other finance books, but I kind of need to in this season. So yeah, so that's kind of back to the whole like um, local, do I struggle with local, not selling to only locals? Or that's the other thing, is there's a Fair Housing Act. We can't discriminate. It's sort of looked over in Hawaii, but technically, because we're not black and white, or the same way these red line states, historically states with redlining. But even to the agents who are like, "Oh, my mission is to, only help local people," and they say that out loud, technically that's a violation of Fair Housing Act. And so that's the other thing, is you can't discriminate. You can't just say, "Well, I only want to help this race of people," but it's like looked over here, you know. Um, Constantly putting yourself in this won't make you happy. I invest. You guys are always so polite and respectful when you film. Constantly putting ourselves in what, Krill? What are we constantly putting ourselves on this? Won't make you happy. Let me know what you meant by that. You're so thoughtful, but you can't help please everyone in every circumstance. Yeah, I appreciate that because I do think about it. Sammy J, I know the renovation Aloha crew got a lot of hate. It seems like you guys don't get as much hate because you guys try to keep it real and also super respectful when you guys do things. Props. Yeah, Sammy. So I'm acquainted with those guys. They're cool. They got a fun energy. They do cool projects. Um, I don't. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I've watched like 4 episodes. When I was in Tennessee at my dad's house. They had it saved on their TV or something. I don't know something. And I watched like 4 episodes. And I knew some of the houses, some of the people. Um, I think the thing, not Kamahai and Tristan specifically, but the thing about the local flipping community is they're often saying how they're rejuvenating Hawaii and they're like virtue signaling. We're restoring local da 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 da. And you know what? One of the best investors who I don't unfortunately have a relationship with, I wish I had more of a relationship with. I feel like I approached it the wrong way the first time we met, but is my agent's cousin. His name's Brandon, and he actually has discounted homes to local people by a significant margin. And he might actually be contributing to local home ownership, but he's not yelling about it. Sometimes people in that flipping community, local flipping community, are virtue signaling so hard that they can't meet their own claims, and people smell BS. And we are, I don't think we set ourselves up for that thing, like, oh, we're so altruistic, we're so amazing. And then it's like, yeah, but bruh, how come you selling that house for $2 million? Like, I'm sitting here telling you I'm more of a capitalist, and if anything, I want to affect mindset, not give you handouts. And so we don't build this image that we can't, that is, has holes to poke, or I don't know. You guys get what I'm trying to say? Can anyone type a comment and like rephrase what I'm actually trying to say when I'm stumbling on that? But I think that the flipping community gets some of that hate for that reason. And I appreciate your comments, Sammy. I hope you and I can just chat and connect. I want to learn from you. What are the best volunteer groups operating out of Honolulu that help address the needs of displaced community members? The first person I would go to is Augie Toba. Augie Toba, I forget the name of the district, but Augie T. We've had him on here. We had him on here a few weeks back. He's working with local community leaders to do some of those things. There's also there's this guy. I don't know. He's got a lot of money, and he built a bunch of houses right when you come off of Nimitz into Kalihi, and it's sort of like a transition place for people who are homeless and displaced, houseless and displaced to live for a period of time to get back on their feet. But I'll start with Augie, and he's connected with multiple groups. Also, Andrea Tupola, she does a lot of outreach on the west side as well. So those are two people that I would start with. This is why I go with you guys if and when we decide to buy. Leo, thank you. Michael says, don't be afraid, be prepared. Opportunity hides where others see risk. Stay alert, plan ahead, be proactive rather than reactive. The economy may be uncertain, but opportunity favors those who are ready. Yeah, I agree with that, Michael. Also, being ready and looking in the, like when Warren Buffett says, when others are greedy, be cautious. When others are cautious, be greedy. The thing about these approaches is you're assuming that you have the right timing, and it's hard. I've been looking, like Friday when things dipped, I should have bought Bitcoin and I didn't, and I knew it, but I wasn't liquid enough. To your point, I wasn't ready. But also, do you have the balls to do it at that time? Right? Do you have the tenacity and the conviction to buy when you're seeing the biggest Bitcoin liquidation event in history happening and an accelerated time frame? And so Another saying that is not the exact same as yours, but I feel like you would like, Michael, is sometimes bears are right, sometimes bulls are right. But over time, bulls are always right. Let me look how I look on the screen. And so, bears are pessimists. I tend to be more of a bear. How can I go wrong? What about 2008? What about the housing crisis? Why should I dump my money? Shouldn't I save it? I'm more of a bear when it comes to letting my money go away from me and investing it. But bulls who are just dump, invest. Oh yeah, we're at all time highs. The market's trading at 30 times earnings. Dump. Pick the winner. This is transformative. AI is transformative. Buy nuclear. Buy AI. Nvidia goes up. AMD goes up. Palantir goes up. ALAB goes up. Sometimes bears are right. Sometimes bulls are right. But if you zoom out, bulls were always right. The market was always up and to the right. So that's another thing to live by. I've heard Sol is a database and not a blockchain. Big difference. Yeah, I don't know as much as you do. I know, but yeah. Michael Flores, I don't know if there is anyone on the fence about buying with Core Team Hawaii. You really should. Just closed with them last week. Every person that you have seen on here is genuine gold in this field. Michael, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Michael and his family got a place, and it was an eventful. It took a lot of work, a lot of strategy, a lot of constant, strong, everyday communication with the lender, and not to his fault, but there's like this admin thing, and so we're happy for them. And I know he had tried it with a couple other agents before us too, and we just never got done, and it got done with us. So I appreciate it, Michael. Leo Q says, trying to shaka. The crypto companies are the new biggest treasury note holders. Yes. So I'm still trying to understand. I mean, Sammy might have some things about this if he's still on, but I'm still trying to understand how potentially we may devalue our debt and move a lot of our holdings over to crypto so that we can devalue and then buy out our debt and rewrite the American budget by crypto market manipulation. A lot of this, I can understand these things, but with study, I have the aptitude, but it's not. I don't just speak in these terms easily. So, I'm this is a lot of stuff I'm looking up right now. Michael Flores, Aiden, Mahe, Jody, they all care so much about getting it right for us, and it shows. Yeah, man, there was a lot that went on with Michael's file, and they all crushed it. Sammy said, "Well said." Sammy says, I'm going to jump off, guys. So, but if you guys keep commenting in these next 30 seconds to a minute and asking me questions, I'll keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off. This is already longer than I expected. So thank you guys for all participating and asking questions and stuff. I'm going to hit Sammy's comment here and then see if we still have runway. One personal test for me in investing is if I have crazy strong conviction in something and normal people around me can't see it. I usually go harder because the opportunity is not obvious. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, Sammy, do you listen to Motley Fool, like study like the rule breaker investing principles? The thing is like, let's say there's a new sport. It's called water bottle disc tossing or something. I don't know. You have no idea who anyone is. And then you got to pick a winner just based on, I don't know, you only get to see their toes, ankles down, and you got to pick a winner somehow or something. Or you wait till the season starts. It's a 10-game season, and you pick whoever's 4-0. See who's going to win. Like, how many times does the person who's 4-0 win, or the team that's 4-0 win? So your odds aren't as good as if you got that person before the season started. You're not made into be a king the same way, but at least you had data. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, is picking Google and Nvidia today in the market, or picking Hawaii as a real estate option overvalued and a bad play? Do you need to find Nashville before it expanded? Well, do you have 20, 30 years to wait? That's one. Uh, and or could you have bought Nashville in 2018 when it was still booming and it continued? The booming continues to boom. Do you put your wealth into Hawaii where it may go up and outpace inflation, but at least it's one of the best stores of wealth, I would say, right? But it's not investment advice. Hit me up for a consult if you want to actually talk about it. But pick the winner or be like Sammy. Now the thing is Sammy's done well for himself, so or herself. I'm assuming it's him. Uh, Sammy's done well for himself, so obviously the hunches that he's had have been well informed and been good. Uh, but for a lot of us, why not pick sure bets? Instead of speculative bets, pick sure ones and go figure out how to make more money. Open a freaking patele stand, ahi poke stand. Go make some more money. Pick good bets and have a season of life that you worked more than the average entitled American wants to work. Spend less than the average entitled American does, and after that decade, you're going to be okay. Sammy said, "Yeah, the stable coin is a good way for people outside the country to help support the country and debt by buying our country's debt. They win with stable currency." See, I don't even know what that means. What's stable coin? What's a stable coin? Joe DC, Aloha Core Team, The Boys Films. Thank you for recommending Jody when we conversed a couple years ago. We were able to get out of our parents' reverse mortgage with Jody's help. I don't think if I remember that one. I remember one about a reverse mortgage a while ago, I guess a couple of years. I wish I could remember the exact details so I know exactly who you are, but thank you. Yeah, I see your point. I think you can do well with consistency. I guess in that instance, I was talking about the asymmetric risk and opportunities. Yes, what I'm talking about is a bit more linear, not exponential. And I also don't have the asymmetric gains that you would potentially have, but you never know. I mean, Alphabet seems to be, 6 months ago, would you have said that Alphabet and Google uh, were going to by far do better with AI than Apple, for example? You never know. Maybe Google wins the AI battle, and Gemini owns everyone's lives. You never know. And so even though it already is a winner, Microsoft was a winner in 2009. But if you go back and dump everything into Microsoft in 2009, you'd be doing good still today. Inflate the currency, buy Bitcoin, pay off the debt, oversimplified. Yeah, I know. I get the simplified version, Leo. I just don't. I got to look a little more into it. I got to own it a little bit more. Ditto. We have also been in touch with Jody and her team to get a look at our buying power and financing. So nice. Joe, what's up? And Joe also said, Aloha Core Team. Thanks, Derek. Well said, Sammy. Michael Hume. Friday was brutal. Watched in real time. My crypto portfolio dropped 20, 30, 50, 70%, all in a matter of minutes. Jumped back up before I could react. Yeah, I was going to say, like, you didn't have any, like, what was it, like, purchase calls, buy calls, like when Bitcoin hits 104, buy it all. Yeah, moving to Hawaii in a few years. When is a good time to reach out? We say reach out anytime, and you reach out today and say, hey, put me in your system. We send out updates quarterly or so, and you're already plugged in. It's productive in like the year prior to the year before what's happening. Some people wait even longer, like 6 months prior. I don't wait more than 6 months. Like we want to connect with you at least 6 months, but some people wait. But in about the year prior is when it's most productive. Sammy, so I'm going to close it up soon, guys, unless you have questions or comments. Investments are amazing and can do wonders for your capital, but the best investment is on yourself, even to have that initial capital. I would agree with that very much. If that's starting a business or even education for yourself, I would agree. Mine was very hockey stick. It was very, I'm learning, I'm saving $1,000. Then I sold a company for 20,000. I thought it was 20 or 25. I have to go back and look at it. I forget, and then there's a compounding effect. Get around people doing things and having conversations that can change your life. You literally, like a fish cannot stay in the same tank and expect to grow. It just doesn't happen. Get a different tank, go in the ocean. Hawaii real estate is finite. Mainland real estate is not. Correct, Leo. But if you're like, say, San Francisco, it's finite within those borders or whatever. But yeah, I'm good having, being heavily invested in Hawaii real estate. Very nice listen today, brother. All the best to you and the fam. Until next podcast, take care. All right, guys. Aloha. I'm going to get back to working with the team on your files, whether you've come in recently or we're actively helping you buy and you're in escrow, or actively helping you sell and we're getting your home on the market or you're on the market. Tuesday, we get into a lot of these things. So I'm going to go get in with the team and go over these things, as well as the people who are newly in, who are just calling in and registering. And so Charlotte's ready to reach out to you Sunday through Thursday, most business hours. Go to coreteamhawaii.com and connect with us. Sammy, I'm expecting to hear from you today, bro. But yeah, if you guys need real estate advice and help, you need to buy and sell in Hawaii, or even on the mainland, and you need a referral, things of that nature. Just yesterday, I had an interview with a Virginia agent, and she's very successful. I think she's a good agent, but I don't think she's the right fit for these clients that we're going to refer her to. So I'm going to keep interviewing on their behalf and find the right fit. Yeah, guys. Talk to you later.